What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I'm going to bring you a test and combo video for the Orcust Horus profile I showed you all the other day. Now this of course is post Banlist. This will involve Harp Horror's return, woohoo! So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. We'll do our standard test stands, 2 going first and 2 going second, but what I'm going to start this video off with is I'm going to start this off with the brand new combo. Well, I say brand new combo, it's kind of an old combo, but just to kind of show you exactly what one card can do in this entire deck for you, and then when you see the additions of the Bystails and the Horus cards, it just adds so much more. So we're going to start off with the Yugioh, the Orcust Mech Knight. It can be done with Armageddon Knight, it just gets a little bit more complex. So we'll start off by normal summoning the Yugioh, the Orcust Mech Knight. Now on normal summon it will allow you to send an Orcust or World Legacy card from deck to the graveyard, and that's where you're going to be sending the newly freed Harp Horror from deck to graveyard. So send that from deck to graveyard and then use the effect of Orcust to spawn a token to your field and one to your opponent's field. You're now going to dark lock yourself by banishing the Harp Horror to special summon a monster from the deck, and the one you're going to want to special summon is of course your Orcust Nightmare. You can then use a mixture of any of these two cards to link up and go into your first Galatea. Now do not use Galatea's effect right now, you actually want to save that for a little bit later on in the turn. What you're then going to want to do is you're then going to want to use the Orcust Nightmare's effect to target said Galatea and send a skeleton from the deck to the graveyard. Then what you'll do, because of the amazing ability of the Orcust cards, or mainly Ding, is you can then rank Galatea, rank on top of Galatea into Ding. You then use Ding's effect here, and this one you're going to want to attach your Orcust Harp Horror to it as material. Then what you're going to do here is you're going to link both the Ding and the Yugioh together, and you're going to go into an IP Masquerena. In doing so, this is going to set you up some SP plays during your opponent's turn, which is really important. Now what you're going to want to do here is you can use Skeleton's effect to banish it from the graveyard to bring back Galatea. Usually best to put it to a zone that IP points to because then it is linked so it cannot be destroyed by battle, which a lot of people forget. You can then use Galatea's effect. Now on this one, you can target, I'm going to ideally target the Orcust Nightmare to put it back into the deck. And the reason for that is you're then going to be able to get hold of Babel. So this will then allow you to set Babel directly to the board. There we go. So you're going to get your field spell and you're going to activate the field spell. You're then going to pass your turn here to your opponent. Now what you've got here is you've got the ability to be able to go, okay cool, Orcust Harp Horror is a quick effect because you've got Babel, and this is going to let you summon out the Orcust Nightmare. In doing so, what you would then do is you'd activate IP Masquerena's effect, and then you would link the Orcust Nightmare and the IP Masquerena, and you're going to go into your SP Little Knight. Again, still making sure it goes to a zone Galatea points to. You don't want to put it over here because then Galatea is not linked. In doing so, you then have the quick effect of the Orcust Nightmare to target either the SP Little Knight or the Galatea. Ideally, you'd probably want to target the SP Little Knight just to make it that little bit stronger. Now, you're not going to make it massively stronger, but just by giving it an extra 300 attack, it means it's not as easy to be attacked over. So you're going to send the Orcust symbol skeleton. Then again, as a quick effect, you can banish the Orcust symbol skeleton, and this will allow you to revive the Ding from the graveyard, meaning you now have the effect of Ding to either reattach one of your Harp Horrors, your Orcust Nightmares, or your Skeletons, or you get to non-target send a card your opponent controls to the graveyard. So straight away, you've then been able to clear off a card there. You still have SP Little Knight's effect to banish on summon, and you'll also have its own effect to banish itself and another card in order to kind of clear that off the board. That's the only time that Galatea will become non-linked, but even then, you're still going to have 4 more cards to be playing around with in your hand, whether they be hand traps, whether they be Horus cards, you name it. And then when it comes back to your turn, you'll get SP Little Knight back, and you've still got the ability of everything else here to just link climb higher into whether it be something like an access code, whether you decide to play a second Ding so you can link Ding on top of the Galatea and then use that to attach a symbol skeleton or anything else, link off higher and then banish and go from there. So this, I just wanted to show you the basic 1-card combo that you're going to get now that Harp Horror is back to 1. And now I will show you all the test stands that you can do, just kind of showing you how the plays will alternate as you go through it. So what we're going to do to make this fair and make sure all of the cards go back and get a nice decent shuffle is we're going to shuffle this up. We're going to cut up the deck as well. And then we'll do a test stand going first and a test stand going second, starting with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this hand's cracked. Even by opening up one of the bricks, which is Beast, and you can choose not to play Beast if you want to, you still have insane amounts of play here. It's absolutely crazy. So you've got a couple of different options. What I do like the idea of is starting off with the Gyusu, just because straight away Gyusu then puts you in a position where your opponent can't really, it can Ash the Send, but then you can still spawn the 2 tokens. And if they Ash the Send, you know your Imseti is going to go through without an issue. But as soon as you put the Gyusu on the board, once you get the 2 tokens, you then no longer need to worry about an Imperm, you no longer need to worry about an Evenly or a Lightning Storm. So you're in very good positions. And you don't even need to worry about Fenrir, which is good aid success. So we're going to start off by normal summoning Gyusu. We're going to use Gyusu's effect, or attempt to use Gyusu's effect, to Foolish Berry. Now I've already shown you what the 1-card combo of Gyusu will allow us to do, so now I'll be able to add Imseti to that board and everything else as well. So we'll go through these test hand combos showing you their max capabilities, but I'll also explain to you that what happens if they do get interrupted. Like I said, if this one gets impermed, if it gets ashed, if it gets stopped in one way or another, it's not the end of the world. We still have plays to make because we then have the fallback of the Horus cards. Then what you're going to want to do here is you're going to use Gyusu's effect. You're going to spawn a token to your field and then a token to your opponent's field. So we're just going to put that in front of the extra monster zone just to kind of lock that one down a little bit. Now you can use Imseti's effect. Now you've got all of these different options to send. You've got Skeleton, you've got Nightmare. They'll both end up in the graveyard once you get to the once you get hold of the King Sark. And what you also need to remember is you don't want to be activating any of these as of yet until you've gone through all of the Horus cards, because when you activate an Orcust card, it does Dark Lock you for the rest of the turn. So we're going to use Imseti and we will send Nightmare. And in doing so, of course, we will get to add a King Sark and we'll shuffle up to draw 1 card. So again, we're still within the parameters of the 1-card combo. Unfortunately though, if you do go through the Gyusu play, because you give your opponent a token, once you bring back 2 Horus monsters, attempting to kind of protect from Nibiru, they can still Nibiru you. So that is the final point that they can Nibiru you, however. So we're going to draw a random card. Imperm, okay, nice. So we've got a hand trap to back up on as well. You can activate the King Sark here. I would then send the Skeleton and then send a Horus monster. So we'd want to send, you can pretty much send any of them. The only difference is, well, apart from Insei, the only issue is when you send the different ones, you need to summon them back before you activate any of your Orcust cards, because then of course you are dark locked. Now, this is the one thing, at this exact moment in time, Beast is of no use to me whatsoever. Like, unless I draw into a Bystail monster, which through this route of play, I'm probably not going to be drawing much more often, it's not worth me keeping. So what we'll do is we'll use King Sark to send the Beast to the graveyard as well, and then we'll send another Horus monster. Now what I tend to like to do, because of the Dark Lock capabilities of the deck, is I tend to want to keep Imseti in the graveyard. Because Imseti is the only dark one, it does mean that I can still summon back Protection in this case and Blessing to then make the rank 8. So it's now at this point, our opponent needs to Nibiru me, and if they do Nibiru me, I still have Harp in the graveyard, I've still got Orcust Skeleton, I've still got Nightmare, Corrupted Ribley, and I've also got the Imseti. So I can, if I want to, get a little bit greedy and go into the Zombie Vampire, mill 4 cards, and hopefully kind of extend my plays further. But we're just going to play these safe, and we're just going to go straight for the Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord. Like I said, you already don't need to worry about an Evenly, Imperm, or Lightning Storm, but if you are worried about additional spells or traps, you can go into a Galaxies if you want to instead. Number 38, Hope Harbinger. So on this scenario right now, we're completely clear to start making Galatea plays, we're completely clear to do everything else we want to. So when we look at the graveyard here, we've got an Imseti, which is basically going to act as a free extender should we want it to. Not to mention, Imseti has the best effect of all of them, that if another card or cards you control leaves the field by an opponent's card effect while this card is in the monster zone, you get to send a card on the field to the graveyard non-target. So if your opponent forgets about that, that could be a very important effect. So keep that in mind. We're now going to Dark Lock ourselves, so we'll start off with Harp Horror. Now, Harp Horror can pretty much summon anything it wants from the deck, any Orcust to be specific. So we'll summon out a Symbol Skeleton, the second one, just because we're going to utilise one of them, and it means that our ding doesn't need to be as restricted, so to speak. We'll then use the token plus the Symbol Skeleton. Put that face down there. And we'll go into Galatea. There we go. We don't want to use Galatea's effect just yet because we don't want Harp Horror going back into the deck. Technically it could, because you do have the access of the Nightmare, Corrupted Ribley, but we're going to be able to make this board go a little bit further than that. So what you'll do here is you'll overlay into Ding. You'll use Ding's effect to attach the Harp Horror, so now you get that back into circulation. You then link the Orcust and the Ding, put those together, and you go into your IP. There we go. And then again, you've still got everything else to play around with. So we've still got the ability of Symbol Skeleton, so we'll banish this, we'll bring back Galatea, so we're now set in a very good position here. We can now also activate Orcust Nightmare. This will then allow us to banish that, and then send one from deck to grave, so we'll send the Wand. You can then banish the Wand to bring back the Orcust Nightmare, and then you can activate Galatea to put back either your Skeleton or your Wand. I would personally put back the Skeleton because we've got that second one in the graveyard in order to get us access to Babel. Now obviously Babel is the most important one because that will give you a non-target send during your opponent's turn. Now obviously the difference between how this deck used to be and how it exactly is now is, unfortunately, Ding is a dark. So Bystails are a thing. Anyway, as this now currently stands, you can get rid of Galatea if you want to. You can link up using the Galatea and you can also use the Orcust Nightmare, and this will allow you to go into Longirsu. Going into Longirsu, it can't be destroyed by card effect as long as it is linked, and you can target 2 of your banished machine monsters, shuffle them into the deck, and then send 1 linked monster your opponent controls to the graveyard. Now at the moment it's not pointing to anything, but if you do put it here, it will mean that you can send the monster that they put into their extra monster zone, which is really nice little bit of an upgrade. Keep in mind it also is a quick effect as long as you have Babel, which is really, really kind of cool. Sorry, only in the graveyard. Or of link monsters you control. So yeah, okay, cool. So you get the best of both worlds if you do it that way. So that's probably what I'll do actually. Let's go this way. And then on top of that, I'll also might as well just bring back Imseti, just because if like I said, if my opponent forgets about this effect, I'm in dreamland. Set the Imperm pass. Now obviously I've burnt my entire hand to get to this board, but you can see that it's a very, very powerful board. Like, I've given them a token, so I don't need to worry about an evenly blowout. I don't need to worry about a lightning storm blowout, and I don't need to worry about a draw phase Imperm. So as this now currently stands, what you ideally want to be doing is during your opponent's turn, you've got the access in your graveyard of Harp, Skeleton, and of course Nightmare. Now Nightmare's a little bit less relevant because you've got that second Skeleton, and Harp's not as ideal. Like, it'll still give you a monster on the board, which is absolutely fine. So what you want to do here is you want to start off by banishing Harp. This is going to allow you to special one from the deck. Now I'm going to ideally try and get Symbol Skeleton into circulation again. Not that it makes much of a difference because you'll be able to do it quite a few times anyway. So then what you want to do here is you want to use IP Masquerader's effect. You'll then, once your opponent starts threatening the board, of course, you'll then use IP plus the Symbol Skeleton. This will then allow you to go into SP Little Knight. SP Little Knight, of course, will give you the ability to banish a card on the field. You just want to make sure that you're not banishing, like, leave them with a monster on the board, because then, like I said, if you clear their entire board off, they're just going to cause you more issues. Now, you've got 2 banished machines, so your Longirsu is now live. So as soon as they put a monster in the extra monster zone, goodbye. You then still obviously have the ability of Symbol Skeleton to banish that, and then summon back the Ding. And in doing so, of course, the best thing about Ding is it's going to give you that ability to non-target send as well, which is absolutely amazing. So you can either send, or if you want to, you can attach one of your banish, but considering you're going to spin the banish back with long, you're in absolutely dreamland. So we've had SP Little Knight banish. We've now got the ability, if we want to banish SP Little Knight and another card on the field. You can negate a monster effect with your Galaxy Lord, putting a Horus monster back in the graveyard. You send a card off of Longirsu, you send a card off of Ding, and that's before you've even used Imperm. And then if any of your monsters are threatened during battle phase, you can then obviously use Orcust Nightmare, and then you can send any of your Orcust cards from deck to the graveyard to buff them. That will either give you less damage to take, or will make them stronger than your opponent's monsters so they can't beat over it. So again, you're in a very, very good position. You'll still have Skeleton to kind of crack back the next turn. You would have spun back cards off of Longirsu. You would have the card that you sent off of Orcust Nightmare. So technically, if you wanted to, in this example, let's say we went with Longirsu first and we put back Wand and Harp. And then at some point we used Nightmare. Nightmare can then send Harp to give you a stronger attack buff, or of course it can send Harp Horror. Send Harp Horror just because we want to utilize the new guy, or the return of the new guy, as much as possible. So we've done all of this. We've brought the board back. SP Little Knight comes back to the board. We draw for turn. Doesn't matter what it is, really. And then the idea is you can flip your Imseti to attack mode. All of this is pretty much going to lead you to game, But you then also have the ability, should you want to, you can link it to access code, you can go into an Appaloosa if you're fearful of anything, you've still got a monster negate off the back of the Galaxy Photon Lord, you've still got Harp Horror that can summon, you've got Skeleton that can summon, and if you play a second ding, you can also upgrade Long into a ding and send another card, but then you also have a way of being able to send back these 2 cards as well. So very, very powerful board, that one. And that just kind of shows you what you can do once you start adding the Horus cards with everything else. Like that was without the Bystails. I'm not the biggest fan of Bystails in this version. Like I get why they are so good, but I just feel the Horus just do the job so much on their own anyway. Okay, so what we'll do, I think because I started the video with a combo, and that was like a very, very long test stand, is I'll just do one going first and one going second, just kind of show you everything you need to. So we start off with the basics of what the 1-card combo gets you, and then we show you what a random hand will get you going first, and then we'll show you what a random hand will get you going second. So after another decent shuffle, and a good old cut, we'll start with our test hand going second, being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, no hand traps, but a decent chunk of gas. You probably want the Imseti to resolve more than the Bystail, in my opinion. So we'll start off with the Bystail first. That's going to be your bait out for an interaction or an Ash Blossom or something like that. I mean, considering we're going second, the chances are there will be more than one interaction, but we'll go for it again like I showed you with max potential. Obviously, if this gets stopped, you still have the ability of Imseti. Imseti would probably end up sending something like Symbol Skeleton, just because you've got a bit of advantage in the graveyard, or a bit of just something in the graveyard to keep you going. So we'll resolve your Lubellion. Lubellion will give you access to, again, considering we're going second, you probably would go something more aggressive like Druid Swarm. If you're being a bit more just defensive, you'll probably go with Magnamute. But like I said, because we're being aggressive, we'll go Druid Swarm. Again, this is all going to be on the assumption that our opponent doesn't have any darks in the graveyard for the Bystails. So you're then going to rely on you having darks in the graveyard. So we'll then use Imseti. Now again, we'll do this on the assumption that it's going to resolve. So we'll send Imseti and Protection. If we feel that there might be a danger that it won't resolve, then you can very easily send a Symbol Skeleton, or you can send a second Imseti, because then at least you'll have a dark monster you don't care about banishing off of the back of the Druid Swarm. So resolve the Imseti, get yourself your King Sark, shuffle up and draw 1 card. Now, ideally what we're looking for is we would be ideally looking for a starter, but you can kind of get that or work your way through that with your Horus monsters. Now, as we're going second, starter, I'm not going to really consider Nibiru. Like, you should consider Nibiru, but I feel like your opponent would probably have more ways to interact with you first before they decide to Nibiru you. So we'll shuffle that up, we'll draw 1 card. Okay, second Lubellion. Activate King Sark. Now you just have discard fodder, which is absolutely fine. Again, we'll do the exact same thing, just so that if I do attempt to like dart lock myself, I've kind of got a board presence already. So we'll send the Orcust Symbol Skeleton from our hand, because then we still maintain a normal summon if we don't have anything else. This will then send the Blessing. I mean, I could very easily send another Lubellion as well, just to kind of get the other Orcust in the graveyard, and this will allow me to set up at least a little bit of protection. So we'll send Happy. So then what we'll do here is we'll bring back Happy and Blessing first. I mean, like the Orcust monsters, the Horus monsters themselves could pretty much OTK, because you just bring all 4 of them back and just go. Because then Blessing gets 1200 per, so there's 4 of them, so it goes up to 48 on his own, which is pretty cool. But we're not going to do that, because that would be boring. So the first one you want to make, just to make sure you've got a bit of protection going, is of course your Galaxy Eyes. And then you'd overlay these 2 and go into Zombie Vampire. Use Zombie Vampire's effect. We're going to make sure we detach Imseti, just so we've got an additional dark in the graveyard. We'll shuffle up, we'll mill 4. Now, you know, I would be amazed if we don't hit a monster from our opponent's grave, but from our opponent's deck, but we'll do it off of just our own deck, just so that we make it, you know, what you can visually see. Magnamute, Harp Horror, oh! Ash, and another Imseti. Okay, cool. I could bring back an Imseti just to have another rank 8 on the board if I want to like hard summon Ding, but we're not going to do that. Harp Horror is just great being in the graveyard. So personally, I'm going to bring back the Magnamute, and then I can trigger Magnamute's effect, which is great. Then on top of that, I can also do this. We use Lubellion's effect. If I want to destroy a card in the field, I can use Beast. but we're going to go with Regained. Of course, if I felt the Druid Swarm would be a bit more useful on the board and then send it off of Lubellion, then I could do that as well. But off of Regained, I've got the ability that should my opponent try to special summon during my turn, then I have the ability of Regain to bring one back, which is absolutely fine as well. Keep in mind, we haven't even conducted our normal summon yet, which is all gravy. So we're still in a very good position. So in our graveyard at current, we've got Harp Horror and Symbol Skeleton. Now, obviously, Symbol Skeleton can be used to bring back Harp Horror, but again, I want to get the most advantage from all of this. So I could very easily, let's put back an Imseti, because I think, I don't want Imseti, nah, Imseti's probably better in the graveyard, really, isn't it? Let's banish the Magnamute off of the back of Druid Swarm, summon it down. We'll use Regain to put Magnamute back and draw one. Really? Just, really? Okay. That's how you can recycle Magnamute. Very nice. And the best thing about it is Magnamute activates when it's sent, so it resolves in the end phase, which is kind of cool. So now what you are going to need to do is you are going to need to Dark Clock yourself. I mean, you can link up if you want to into any of your monsters that are not dark, should you wish to go down that route. But honestly, we're now well within our position to start making Horus monsters. So Orcust monsters. Orcust Horus, they're just too similar. So we'll use Harp Horror to summon out Nightmare just to kind of get that into circulation. We'll use Nightmare and Druid Swarm to go into Galatea. At the very least, this will allow us to trigger Druid Swarm's effect to send a card on the field. So if anything might be causing us an issue, we can send that monster to the graveyard. We now, of course, have Nightmare and Symbol Skeleton. So we'll use Nightmare. We'll buff one that we're going to keep on the board. So let's buff Vampire. And I'll make sure I keep Vampire on the board. I believe it is just dark, isn't it? No, it's just face-up monster. Okay. Yeah, let's buff Photon Lord then instead. So we will then send our wand. So we get a nice little buff on the back of the Photon Lord. Now what you do here is you'll upgrade Galatea into Ding. Now if you're pushing for the OTK, you don't really need to reattach any of these. You can just go Ding, send. And it's like, yay, great success. And then you can wand. Bring back Harp or Nightmare, doesn't really make much of a difference. And then you would link into another Galatea. Again, if you're being a bit aggressive, you probably could have gone like Galatea like a little bit earlier, but it doesn't make much of a difference. So you go both of those into a Galatea. You can then use Galatea's effect. We'll put Orcust Nightmare back into the deck. We'll get ourselves a Babel. Activate the Babel, so now everything's quick effect. Not that we really needed to worry too much about that. And then what we could do here is you can use your Orcust Symbol Skeleton, bring back, I mean, you'd probably be better off leaving this to the next turn, but you can get all of this back into circulation just because of Harp Horror. So a second Ding would be great here just to kind of upgrade the Galatea. Or is it once per turn? You can only special, yeah, once per turn that way. Okay, cool. So, oh, you can only special summon once per turn in general. Whoops. Oh well, okay, well. Guess we're not bringing back Ding then. Bring back Galatea. At least, I mean, it gives me another Link 2 on the board. And then if I want to go up into Darks, I can then go into something like a Longirsu. So again, this is just all on assumption that our opponent's not really interacting with us whatsoever. So go into Longirsu, use Longirsu's effect to spin 2 back and send a Link monster. So if they've got a monster in the Link zone, we can save that and send it. And then it's entirely up to you. If you want to, you can upgrade both of these, or this and this. Doesn't really make much of a difference. Go into an access code. Access code is going to gain 3k. The only issue with access code is there's only going to be darks in the graveyard. So the only reason you'd be doing that is to basically combine these attacks. So these two together is 43. Whereas access code will go up to a 53. So you get an extra 1,000 attack off the back of the access code. And you still have these in the hand. We haven't even normal summoned. Normal summon, battle phase, game. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope this has given you a couple of ideas on your own build. I really do like the way this deck operates now. I think Harp Horror is just an amazing addition to it. I thought the deck operated pretty decently prior to that, but now Harp Horror comes back, it's just the icing on top of the cake. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.